London, the UK's most multicultural and multi-ethnic city. A city with some of the world's most strictest legislations. A city where it is illegal to carry some knives in most public places. Now, one would think London will be one of the safest cities to live in. Well, right now we are dealing with a knife crime crisis.
A 15-year-old boy who was stabbed to death.
A stab wound to the heart.
It takes one stab wound to kill you.
Although knife crime is an issue in London right now, it's important to understand that there's been a huge upscale on the media coverage that the matter has been receiving recently in a way that it's never had before. And I think that's doing way more harm than it is doing good. It's causing this sense of moral panic within the youth where they feel as though they have to carry knives with them everywhere they go because they want to protect themselves from something that may and may not actually be there. And that's because the situation is getting played out on so many media outlets. Growing up in the heart of London, I've witnessed so many people lose their lives to this ongoing crisis, and I just don't think it's okay. So I've decided to go on this journey to find out whether or not this theory of moral panic plays a key role in this current disaster. So I'm in Bethnal Green right now on my way to go and see Dr. Ian Francis. He's an educational psychologist. To get an opinion and perspective from someone who isn't in the London urban scene and someone who is obviously trained to, you know, speak about these things and someone who worked in the Department of Psychology. So yeah, I really want to dive into this. So let's find out what Ian has to say. Let's do this.
Well, as I say, we were carrying knives.
Yeah.
And we didn't stab each other, but
yeah.
then it was a much more restrained society.
Yeah.
Culturally, we were much more bound to the conventions.
Mm-hmm. I guess, like, from a psychologist's perspective, obviously there's been some stuff done, you know, trying to prevent knife crime and put a stop to it. What do you think can be done to stop these young men?
I think it's, as we've discussed, I think it's a product of a society that has become unboundaried.
Yeah. I
think it has, and I think that the kids in the gangs, it's kids in gangs stabbing each other, isn't it? I think they're unbounded, and I think that then they're contained in a gang, and I think that they feel they're protecting their gang. Actually, what happens? You get a phone call from the BBC, and they'll say,
which a lot of youth are getting for them to, you know.
Okay, you get a phone call, and they say, this and this has happened. Do you want to talk about it? And say, yeah, okay. So what's your take on it? And I'll be a bit right wing, for no thanks. And then LBC will phone up, and they say the same thing. What do you think of it? And I'll say exactly the same thing. Oh, lovely, Mr. Francis. Yeah, so they pick people who are going to say what they want, you know. That's the way the media works, you know, it's what's shiny now, and at the moment they've decided to make a big deal about knife crime.
So that was an interesting conversation with Dr. Ian Francis. I did actually want him to go into more lengths on the matter from a psychologist's standpoint, but he didn't. However, he did make some very valid points that definitely back up the theory of moral panic, as he stated that the media over-intensify stories to hit their cover. I'm on my way to go and meet Carl Loco, who is an activist, influencer and a creator who was actually a former gang leader in the area that we're currently in right now. So the main reason for wanting to speak to him was obviously to find out his opinion on the current state of, you know, London community, being someone who was actually involved in the gang scene before, whether or not he thinks things have changed or they've not changed, if they've stayed the same, what can be done, what hasn't been done, sort of questions like that. I'm really, really excited to meet him. So let's go find out what Carl Loco has to say on the current state of London.
Gangsterism is more a byproduct of a broken society. So if you're going to eradicate gangsterism, you're going to have to heal a broken society. Yes. And that's a lot more, the cracks are a lot deeper. Yeah. It's not so much in terms of it's getting worse, like these things haven't been happening. Yeah. Why I say it's getting worse is because it's no longer exclusive to certain areas. Now, anywhere in London, it's happening all over. So yeah.
Carl sheds some light on another factor that he believes is a direct influence to the increase of youths carrying knives.
Force corporates and businesses to put certain things in places, and will they? I don't believe in utopia. Exactly, you know, I don't believe there's going to be any kind of. I came from that situation. You know, my mum and dad were very, very hard-working individuals. You know, my mother would actually work illegal hours. You know, like 14-hour days. You know, and my father would work 12-hour days. You know, and ultimately, if they're not there, you know, some things can actually go under the radar.
I feel like that was probably my favourite conversation that I've had thus far, just because I think everything that he said came from a place of well-knowing. I mean, by that I mean he is someone who's been in the situation before, so he's able to comprehend and articulate, you know, everything that he thinks very, very, very clearly. And I do agree with him, you know, about parents being more involved in, you know, their children's lives, and how much of an effect, you know, that can have if they are not. And him even giving the example that, you know, his parents were also in similar predicament where they were trying to, you know, provide for their child, and with that they ended up, you know, losing those precious moments with their children. So yes, we are moving on to the last topic of today, and it's a topic that I feel like everyone who lives in the UK, who lives in London most especially, should be tuned in to. This is about the ongoing knife crime. I think the real issue is London as a community. We are expected to live a life where it's all about work. London is the most expensive city in the world, and all parents are obliged to do is work so they can provide for their children. So I am on my way to go meet Mohammed. He is a freelance journalist and a copywriter who was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I'm like really excited about this one because obviously he's American, so it'll be nice to get an American's perspective on the fact that London's murder rate has surpassed New York. So that will definitely be a huge topic of discussion, and also the fact that he's a journalist, so it'll be nice to also discuss with him, you know, are journalists over-exaggerating with some of the stories that they're putting out there, like the psychologist said. That'll be really nice to get his opinion on. Do you think it's okay that they're just continuously writing stories on a matter that can be prevented behind closed doors?
I actually lean towards a perspective that's a bit more like we need to maybe relax on the stories.
100%.
Just the amount.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's at the top of every day's news cycle,
yeah.
The issue is that, and we talked about this off camera, but like the issue is that you keep reinvigorating and stereotyping, and you keep reinforcing that stereotype, so that every single time that you turn on the news, it seems normal to you
that this is what's going on.
That this is what's going on.
And that being someone who's been in London for 2 years, and you've obviously seen these stories and these articles, and you've obviously, you know, read the ones that are going on in America as well. Right. What do you think the UK is doing wrong? Because right now it is clear that, you know, our murder rates in London is higher than it is in New York. Right. What do you think, I guess, in essence, what's New York doing right that, you know, London isn't?
It's not even a question of someone doing something right. I think London is just for once in a few decades now doing something more wrong than what maybe New York might be. So it's I think what it is that with New York is that they've been dealing with this issue for so long, and it's, you know, it's pervasive in the sense that you deal with guns, with knives, with bomb threats, all that put together. Yeah. So with the infrastructure here, there's already a watch state where cameras are everywhere. So this problem is weird because it's like, how is this happening when we've got eyes everywhere? Yeah. In the States, it's part of the system. You're flawed from the beginning. So like, we've had murder epidemics since before I was born, right? And I think in London, the only issue is that it's new to the scale. Yeah, that's it. It's just new to the scale. So I think it's just kind of like, let's take a deep breath and maybe make sure that we're a little bit more careful about where we, you know, how we protect our kids, rather than maybe enacting stop and frisk. I think better would be for police officers to, in general, to go into these different neighborhoods, and for different police chiefs and councils to go to these neighborhoods and communities and say, look, here's what we're trying to do.
Communicate.
Yeah, and to have these, you know, like these public town hall meetings, but to do it by police, like to show like, I'm going to be the one who's arresting somebody's kid and protecting you, so I'm going to talk to you before ruining your family, before destroying your life, before maybe even causing someone's death. Let's talk this out, instead of someone in a suit showing up and saying, this is what needs to, exactly. So I'm just like, just get these police officers to show that, look, I'm not here just as big brother. You know, I got kids too.
I understand. That being that level-headed person who can say, I understand, so let us speak.
Yeah, just talk more. Just talk.
Just had the best conversation with Mohammed. I think one of the main things I definitely took out of that conversation was his thoughts on police enforcement wanting to have an open conversation with the youths. I think he really hit it on the head with that statement. I think we do need to have a conversation with people who are, you know, of higher power, who are able to make some sort of changes to help regulate this epidemic that we're currently facing. I also loved the fact that he actually agreed with what the psychologist said about, you know, about journalists, just using, you know, stories like these issues that we're going through right now as just another headline. It's not okay, and it's something that, you know, we need to put a stop to. So I don't know whether it's new legislation that are going to stop, you know, journalists using matters that are very, very, very serious as just another topic of discussion. Just something needs to happen.
However, music is a way of expressing your reality. So if someone's expressing their reality through music, who are we to stop them? And I think what we really need to tackle is why that is their reality. If the violent life, if the knife crime life, you know, is their reality, why is that their reality? That's what we need to pinpoint.
Over the past few days, there's been a number of speculations that drill music is one of the main influences of knife crime. So I felt it necessary to find out some thoughts on this new belief.
Ooh. I'm on my way to go meet Mr. Play. He is an award-winning DJ and promoter. He is also a writer for the Black British newspaper, The Voice.
There's always been controversial music from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, you had lots of NWA who were so controversial. They said, "Fuck the police."
Yeah.
You don't get more controversial than that. You know, music. I don't think it's to blame. I do think sometimes it can play a part.
You know.
But it can play a part because I think the media's highlighting it.
Yeah.
And I think they're highlighting, you know, the killings, the music, but it's also taken away from real life world things, you know. So that's my point of view.
And the nihilistic fetishization of violence, the kind of not so trivial postcode rivalries that have cost the lives of dozens of young black men already this year. Is this just fantasy, or do violent songs encourage violent acts?
Well, obviously the media is starting to say that, you know, it's mainly because of drill music, and obviously you being an artist and also a young boy in the music scene, do you agree with that theory that, you know, drill music is like a massive impact on the ongoing knife crime?
Well, I wouldn't say a massive impact, because it definitely plays a part, but the reason for the drill music is because, like, they're rapping about what they live.
Do you think they're actually rapping about, because I listen to some of the songs and I find it shocking to understand some of the stuff that they're saying, and I feel like it's a little bit exaggerated. Am I wrong in saying that? Just a little bit exaggerated.
That's how they creatively express themselves. I think what they should do is talk to the artists specifically, and then explain to them why they think it's their fault. Other than taking down, because that's their work. Some of them, that's their way of getting out.
Yeah, I feel that there's a sense of like a moral panic where youth, you know, your age, you're 15, right? So youth your age, or even 17, 18, will feel as though they need to now protect themselves from what could potentially happen. Do you agree with that theory? What's your base on that?
I think realistically, if someone feels as if they're in danger, they have a right to protect themselves. However, they shouldn't be the ones who start it. Because starting it would then lead to even more back and forth.
But do you think that the media are playing so much out of it, like always talking about it, you know, it's always on the front coverage of the Metro or whatever, do you think that's doing more harm than it is doing good though?
Yeah, because the thing is, what they don't say how they're trying to improve it. Other than the drill music thing, they don't say we're gonna search people more, we're gonna, like, all of these things, but they just say let's scrap drill music. It's quite unfair.
You just mentioned what they used to do before the whole stop and search. Do you think that's, we spoke to a psychologist not too long ago, and he was saying that he doesn't agree with, you know, doing stop and search because he thinks it's quite a racist act. And I know Theresa May kind of stopped it a little bit because she also thought, you know, it was quite a racist act because all the time it was always black boys getting stopped. So do you think that's something that they need to bring back again? And do you think it was helping?
I think it should be brought back in certain ways so that it's not like race directed. Because certain, it's a tricky one. It's a really tricky one, but
Although we went into this journey with a theory heavily based around the concepts of moral panic, From meeting and speaking to various people who have been a part of this project, I've grown to understand that there are many other factors contributing to the ongoing crisis, not just moral panic. As a society, myself included, I think we're too heavily invested on figuring out what's causing knife crime to rise, when really and truly we should be completely focused on what can be done to tame the matter. One of the main and most important things that I'm taking away from this project is that there's a clear gap between the youths and those with higher authorities, like the police. And for this gap to be mended, there needs to be less blame and more conversations.